Hey, this is Mike Luchin. I'm back with your fantasy football update for the day. Over the last 24 hours, we did actually get a few items of news that should impact your rankings for your drafts this weekend. So we're going to get right to it. Joe Mixon. Hey, we knew he was going to be out the first 4 games of the season for the Texans, but their general manager, Nick Caserio, in an interview said, we'll see if he plays this year. Okay, so we hadn't gotten a lot of updates on this injury on Mixon. That's kind of an ominous update. I'm not drafting Joe Mixon. All right. If you are drafting with 14 rounds, 15 rounds, you should not be drafting Joe Mixon. In 20-round drafts, okay, those really deep leagues, if you want to take a shot on him in the 19th or 20th round, then go for it. But at this point, he's a flyer. I have him sort of in that same group as like a Marshawn Lloyd. Okay, the Packers handcuff running back who is continuously injured, and he's starting the season on IR as well. So Joe Mixon, let somebody else take him, okay? Especially if you have your home league drafts. There's almost certainly going to be someone who gets stuck on auto draft or somebody who decides to take a chance. Don't let it be you. All right, next, Isaac TeSlaa's, the receiver for the Detroit Lions. All 3 weeks of the preseason, actually he played 4 games because they had the Hall of Fame game. He's flashed, okay? And you heard me talking about, well, the problem is Tim Patrick is still there, right? And Tim Patrick is locked into that number 3 receiver role in the beginning of the season. Well, we woke up this morning to news that Tim Patrick had been traded to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, this is coming right after Dan Campbell in a press conference said that he thinks TeSlaa's is somebody who could help them early in the season. Now, let's not go crazy here, right? Amon-Ra St. Brown is still there, and Jameson Williams is still there. Sam Laporta is still there. Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back, is still going to get a bunch of targets. However, we know that a few of these guys are going to underperform their ADP just based off of, there aren't going to be that many targets to go around, okay? If you want to take a late round gamble on this offense, Isaac TeSlaa's has become very intriguing. And I'm talking about in regular leagues where you have 14 or 15 rounds. I personally would rather roster Isaac TeSlaa's than Cooper Kupp, okay? Because at receiver, talent wins the day, all right? It's different than running back where it's all about situation. Talent wins the day at receiver. And TeSlaa's, the height, weight, speed phenom from Arkansas who got picked in the 3rd round this year, has shown that he's got a chance to make an impact early in the year. Certainly, if you have been drafting best ball, if you're still drafting best ball teams, Isaac TeSlaa's is a slam dunk once you get to the 13th, 14th round. Okay, he's going to have some big games this year. It just might not be consistent because of all of the other weapons in that offense. All right, moving on. Amari Cooper re-signed with the Las Vegas Raiders. Okay, so looks like he's going to finish his career in the same place where it started. Now, I wouldn't be too excited about this. Amari Cooper is still off my radar in redraft leagues for the most part. However, John Spytek in a press conference that just ended actually about 45 minutes ago talked about how he does expect Amari Cooper to be a pretty big part of that offense, and he expects him to have a role in week 1 against New England. So again, in most leagues, you're not even drafting him. You can keep an eye on him and on the waiver wire. Again, if you have 19 or 20 rounds or you're drafting a best ball league and it's a late pick, he does make sense there. I think the biggest news here is how is it going to impact the current Raider receivers? The biggest sort of loser in this regard in that offense, I think, is actually Trey Tucker. Okay, where I look at where Amari Cooper would slot in, he's not touching Jacoby Myers' spot, and certainly it has nothing to do with Jacoby Myers requesting the trade. I mentioned the other day Myers is going to be there, but I think Cooper could kind of slot in to Trey Tucker's spot and take a lot of snaps away from him. Okay, the last piece of news here. Kamani Vidal was released. He was waived by the Los Angeles Chargers, and he's on their practice squad, so he still might end up playing week 1. But that came along with the news that Najee Harris will be on the 53-man roster. Okay, this is a strong sign that Najee Harris is going to be ready to play soon. Okay, not week 1, but soon. This has a lot of impacts. First off, Hassan Haskins is the third running back on that roster. Hassan Haskins is really there because he's a good special teams player. They could use him in the run game if they needed to in a pinch, but this is not someone who they're going to play a lot as an actual running back. So you've got Hampton, and now Najee Harris is going to be a factor at some point soon. This kind of makes me leery to take Hampton in the third round. Okay, he's been going high third round to mid third round with the expectation that he is the clear starter, the bell cow. Greg Roman's been saying 2 backs are going to be involved no matter who they are. Okay, we know Hampton's going to be one of them, but it looks like Najee Harris is going to be joining him soon. And we can't completely rule out the possibility that at some point within the next month or so, Najee Harris is the 1A. Now, is that likely? No, he's probably the 1B, but it could be a sizable 1B role. Well, think about how you feel about Breece Hall, right? Breece Hall is probably the 1A with the Jets, and most people are not drafting him in the third round anymore. So be a little bit leery when it comes to Amari and Hampton. And as far as Najee Harris, well, bump him up a round or two. When you're looking for a handcuff running back in the 10th or 11th round, you could do worse than Najee Harris at this point because all of the tea leaves are pointing to him coming back, even though, I could see Kamani Vidal being activated from the practice squad. Remember, they have that exception that they put into place a couple years ago, and playing a couple of games to start the season. So that is some pretty big news. All right, I will be back. If any other news breaks, I'll let you know how to handle it. I'm also going to be doing some more of those FFPC mid-stakes big gorilla drafts. I'll be sharing the draft board from those. Again, they're a pretty good indicator of some sharp people drafting and where you would expect to see guys go if you've got a strong room of managers. And we'll be doing that all weekend. So thanks again for your time. That's your update for today.